those that have to do a little administrative work. Had a lawyer by the name of Marty. Marty said from the beginning, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. You need a 501c3, nonprofit status. We're going to put this together. Marty passed away, but his spirit is still here. And his wife is still here. And I need her to come up to express a few thoughts. Come, please. Yeah. She needs a video.
Yeah. I mean, they asked me to come and speak for Marty, but first I want you to hear a few minutes of a really beautiful interview done by Sarah Kunstler of Marty. All the 40 minutes is in the archive, so I invite you. I'm not going to do that now, but here's Marty briefly.
My name is Marty Stolar, also known as Marty. I'm a lawyer in private practice, as I have been for most of my professional career. I was admitted to, after getting out of NYU Law School, I was admitted to practice in 1968. So by the time Attica took place, I was a terribly experienced lawyer with 3 years background in doing stuff, although actually I'd had quite a bit of experience. And I'm currently in private practice, and I was back then, more or less. And I got involved with the National Lawyers Guild and the Mass Defense Committee, and started representing people who were arrested for protesting, people who were involved in political activity and got arrested for it. And I was doing that for basically since a year after I got out of law school, that I was standing up in criminal court and handling cases, and saw the rise of all sorts of liberation movements. The Black Panthers, which represented the outcome or the outgrowth of the civil rights movement, with which I was very much involved, representing Panthers all the time. The law firm that I was with became involved with the Panther 21, which is a very significant indictment of the Black Panther Party in New York. We'll come back to that in a second. But I was representing Young Lords, American Indian activists who helped paint Teddy Roosevelt's statue way back then at the Museum of Natural History. War Clan, which was a Chinese liberation group that was active in Chinatown, all sorts of liberation on the left, and prisons had been part of that. You can't, inmates in prison don't exist outside of society, and so there were all sorts of liberation movements and people coming up and saying, I am worth self-worth and dignity. And some of that translated over into prisons, some of which started with the Black Panthers, who were imprisoned after their indictment. There was what was deemed a riot in the jail, where basically they negotiated with the jail authorities, and the jail authorities backed down. And that spread to other prisons in the city and upstate before Attica took place. So what was going on in terms of liberation, Attica fit right in to everything. It just got a little bit bigger than anybody ever expected because of the circumstances of what happened in the prison and what happened in Times Square, and how the inmates basically were able to take over the prison and take over DR. I was involved. I was part of the guild. It was part of natural to me that we should be involved in the defense or in the offense. Nobody was a defendant yet, but there were people in the yard. They called for observers. My friend Bill Kunstler went up, was an observer. Lou Steele, who was my friend. People who I was associated with, Emily Goodman went up. Danny Alterman, who became my partner later, they went up to try to do something immediately after the 9th while the inmates were in the yard. And I was back in New York doing whatever could be done in New York as a support man. course, they got their injunction up in Buffalo, and they took the injunction right to the prison gate, and the prison gate said, "That's very nice, thank you very much, goodbye, we'll see you later." And that, of course, the state's response 4 days later on the 13th, and the unmerciful killing of guards and inmates, and the astounding revelations later on, very shortly after that, with the county medical examiner, Edlin, determining nobody had been castrated, nobody had had their throat cut, and everybody died as a result of the state assaulting the prisoner. That turned the entire thing into a huge, huge event, a political event. And here were the inmates of Attica who were essentially leading the revolution.
I really wish Marty could be here instead of me, but he died on July 1st. So you're stuck with a video, and I'll talk to you for a minute or two about Marty. As you can see, it made him so happy to share his talents and knowledge. His passion and love showed in everything he did. In the Attica Rebellion and aftermath, some of the folks he worked with included Haywood, Burns, Bill Kunstler, Liz Fink, Polly Eustace, Danny Alterman, Lou Steele, Emily Goodman, countless law students, NLG lawyers from the West Coast, Detroit, upstate New York State, and New York City. He was so proud of the work and collaboration with the National Lawyers Guild and the NCBL. That, I think, is really the essence of Marty, reaching out, bringing people in, teaching, and moving forward. He listened and learned from those incarcerated. He considered Frank Big Black Smith a friend for life. I'll never forget Big Black in our apartment, sitting in a chair, hanging out and trying to help us figure out how to solve the problem, which he did. Went downstairs to the people giving us trouble and said, "I've known Marty a long time. Don't make me come back." That's it. Marty described Attica as his largest mass defense case. He believed in the importance of mass defense, the strength and the power of collective action. In his role as a lawyer, he considered it his job to support those who were willing to put their bodies on the line, demonstrators. Support protesters who wish to use the courtroom to amplify their message, and also those who just wanted to get in and out and get back onto the street and do it all over again. Whatever it was that the person accused wanted, Marty was there with pleasure. Liz Fink, Marty, in the longer tape, you'll see that Marty says that one of the things that made him the most proud was to send Liz to Attica. And I just want to read you a little quote from Liz about Marty. Liz said, "I'd worked from 1971, when I was a second-year law student, for Danny Myers and other people in the office at 351 Broadway. On May 6, 1974, I was admitted to practice, and 2 days before, I went to a National Lawyers Guild meeting, and I said to Marty Stolar, who was the New York City coordinator of the Attica Brothers Legal Defense, that I wanted to change. Did he know of a job for me?" And Marty said, "Do I have a job for you?" And he said, "It's in Buffalo. It doesn't pay, There's no salary, but there's room and board. And I looked at him and I said, okay, I'll do that. And he looked at me and he said, you know what I'm talking about? And I said, yeah, the Attica Brothers Legal Defense. And he says, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I'll give it a couple of weeks. And what was it, 25 years that Liz, I mean, it's amazing. So don't be talking to me about how hard you work because you're like laid up one night doing whatever. 25 years. And Liz and her team, which you've heard a little bit about, got some, or at least as Marty put it, the best that the law could do. Didn't make up for the atrocity and the crime that the state committed. But it was the best the law could do, and so Liz and the team did it. Attica teaches us about the evils of racism. That's what Marty said again and again. The evils of racism, mass incarceration, as well as the dignity of those accused, incarcerated, and the power of collective action. Marty's message to all of us, carry it on. Carry it on.